Hi everyone, my name is Sydney and today we're going to be finally discussing Suzanne Collins' book, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I have finally read this book! I had no idea this book was going to be this big. I'm pretty sure I was reading this book for like 3 months. So for those of you who haven't read this book, who don't know what this green one, is about, we are still in the world of the Hunger Games, but we have gone back in time and we are following our main protagonist. Oh my god, Snow, ew! It is the 10th annual Hunger Games and Snow is mentoring a girl called Lucy who is from District 12. I guess that's all I should say for those of you who haven't read this book. Please go read it, come back, and then we can talk because there's so much that we need to talk about. I'm going to dive straight into the spoilery section now, so here we go in 3, 2, 1. So, straight off the bat, I didn't really like this book. I feel like we didn't get enough of Snow's backstory, which is probably why I didn't like this book as much. I really wanted to learn more about Snow and learn about why he is the way he is. I feel like we never really got that side of him. What made him so evil? And this is the question I think everyone had going into this book, which was the biggest reason why this book fell so short. I also didn't like how there was this romance formed between Lucy and Snow. I guess I wanted more action. This main character is someone who we hate from the other books. Having this romantic plot was just unnecessary. There were a lot of things that I did like within this book though, about how the Hunger Games were basically formed, how Snow had a lot of ideas that were input into it, and you can really see that back then the tributes were treated like shit. They were treated like animals being in these cages. The way Snow introduced Lucy when he was in that cage with her, that was something I enjoyed reading. But I guess I just really wanted more of Snow's backstory. I wanted to go even more back into the past, seeing the way that he grew up. And yes, you get a glimpse of his grandmother, and Tigress is related to him. What? Being Snow's cousin, I thought that was random. I also thought that it was really interesting to find that Lucy, being from District 12, is in some way related to Katniss. Lucy is probably Katniss's grandmother or something, which is another thing. With the ending of this book, it's interesting how we have no idea what happened to Lucy. But in the way that this ended, it does make you think she must have survived because Katniss, the character, was created. So that I think is pretty cool. But whilst reading this book, I didn't like that we didn't know what happened to her, and I thought that the ending was quite rushed in regards to Snow being so in love with Lucy. How his mindset just changed so quickly to picking up that gun and wanting to kill her in the woods. That didn't really make sense to me, but overall their whole romantic plot didn't make sense to me. The mention of mockingjays and Katniss being a flower, which I also had no idea that Katniss is a type of flower. This whole time I had no idea of that, which makes sense, Katniss and Primrose. But yeah, I don't know, I never thought about that. I felt like the mention of Katniss and mockingjays was very repetitive, to the point where I was quite sick of it. I was quite annoyed by it. It was a nice parallel, I guess, to the series, but it just didn't feel necessary. I do think it's cool that we kind of get reference to roses with his grandmother wearing rose perfume. And I also felt like poison was Snow's thing, and we hear about it in the other books. There were only these little glimpses of it, and I wanted more of that, I guess, as well. Having this romantic plot to the story makes sense in regards to how much hatred there was from Snow towards Katniss without her even knowing why. Her name being a trigger for him, as an example, and District 12 as a whole. I also felt like the Hunger Games itself wasn't as exciting, it wasn't as exhilarating to read like the others were. I honestly really went into this with high expectations. Maybe that's the issue. I wanted it to be epic. Lucy kept referring to herself as a mockingjay, just like Katniss, and in ways, I think this repetition, it's already been done. I was bored of it. Give me something new. Give me more of Snow and I'll be more happy. It's hard to talk about this book because as a whole, it wasn't a bad book, but this is not the book that I think I can say for everyone. This isn't the book we wanted to read. I personally was expecting something so different. That's why I'm very disappointed with this one. I did find it quite clever how Snow gave Lucy a compact with rat poison in it for her to use in the games. I thought that was very true to his character, of knowing the way he likes to deal with things. I also thought that him using that tissue, putting it in the box of snakes, was quite funny. I felt like the snake stuff was quite unnecessary. I don't know, in ways. Like, yes, a snake in this story is very symbolic of being an evil animal, and Snow is a snake in many ways. I feel like it could have been a lot cooler. Lucy is this performer and she was singing to the snakes. There was this image that was a bit weird in my mind, maybe. Like, I guess I kind of liked it, but maybe there was just too much going on. I also didn't like how Snow ended up becoming a peacekeeper because he was found out with Lucy winning, how it was basically rigged. It made the end of this story quite boring. I also think it's really funny, the names, Coriolanus and Sejanus, Anus, and then you have Dean Highbottom. Like, why? Why do we have this reference to asses? So something I didn't like about Snow's character is there wasn't any reason behind why he is pro-capital, why he's against Mockingjays. He just is. There wasn't this reason why. There should always be this reason why. We're influenced by so many different things, different factors that happen to us or around us, especially the Mockingjays. The fact that he just didn't like them, it made no sense to me. Like, why don't you like them? Snow using the Jabberjays to record Sejanus's rebel plan was very brutal. That was a scene that was very true to his character. That was a cool moment. I did like that scene. I did also find it quite interesting that Snow's father was the one that started up the Hunger Games. But again, I wish that this story was even more back in the past. It wasn't enough for me. It wasn't enough. I wanted more. I wanted more. I wanted more epic. I wanted more action. I wanted the villain to reveal himself. Give us more backstory and let us feel even more hatred for him and be angry. Not read about him falling in love. I also felt like this book was long. It seems quite harsh to say, but it just felt a bit unnecessary. It's not what I wanted. I'll never read this again. I know that for certain. I'll never read this book again. But I'll read more from her. I'm intrigued to see what she writes next. But yeah. So yeah, that was my review on this book, basically. There isn't really much else to say about this book. That's my feels. I'm disappointed. I wanted to have more backstory on Snow. So I'm super intrigued to hear what you guys thought about this book. So please feel free to write down below. I hope I see you guys soon. So I guess there's nothing else that needs to be said from me. As usual, bye!